There are lots of names being put out there. Some people are nominating themselves, like the former socialist presidential candidate Ségolène Royal, who said that she was available if Emmanuel Macron wanted to pick her as prime minister. I think that's pretty unlikely, but good for her to put herself forward. The key thing that Emmanuel Macron needs in this is somebody who can try and create a majority, or at least a working minority in Parliament. The maths are pretty complicated because the National Assembly is so fractured from the big groupings on the far left and the far right, and he's currently working, or at least the last coalition that was built was with a centre-right party, wasn't big enough to be able to pass a budget, as we saw. So really we're focusing on the centre-left party, the Socialist Party, to see if somebody could emerge perhaps from that fold that might be able to unite people around them. So the names being spoken about are the former Socialist Prime Minister, Bernard Cazeneuve, other centrist politicians, Sébastien Lecornu, who's currently the Defence Minister. We're also thinking about François Bayrou, who's a long-standing centrist politician in France. A couple of names being mentioned too from the centre-right as well. The former Minister François Bayrou, who was from the centre-right party, also being mentioned too. But it's really difficult to see how any of these names, with perhaps the exceptions of those on the left, would change the calculations or would change the situation that Michel Barnier had. He was somebody from the centre-right political tradition. He had this long experience as a storied negotiator, and yet he wasn't able to do it. So it's a big challenge to figure out who actually might be able to do it if they're handed this job.
Yeah, it kind of also raises the question, like, who would want a challenge such as this, given the track record, at least in recent months, Stephen? France will now have a caretaker government. What does that mean?
So for now, it essentially means that everyone remains in their job. The kind of legal procedure that follows the vote of no confidence is that Michel Barnier had to go to the Élysée Palace to meet Emmanuel Macron earlier this morning to tender his resignation and the resignation of the government. In return, Emmanuel Macron says that he had taken notice of that resignation, but he asked Michel Barnier and his colleagues to stay on and keep things ticking over, essentially until a new prime minister is appointed. Now, Emmanuel Macron, it should be said, did say that he would appoint a prime minister in the coming days. So it won't be like the last time around where it took months between July and September for him to find a candidate for prime minister. We are expecting him to move a little bit faster than that. In terms of the finances, which is the key part here, because the reason that the government fell was over the budget. The budget currently runs till the end of this year. That's not that far away, as we know. So Emmanuel Macron did say in his address that they would be passing the special law to allow for, I suppose, the kind of temporary, sort of continuing resolution to happen with the French budget, where essentially what they do is they take the 2024 budget, divide it in 12, and they give it out month by month. So that means that you can continue to raise taxes, pay benefits, run state services, but not really make any new decisions about that. And economists have been warning that even in that situation, France's budget deficit, which was already quite large, could get even bigger. And that's, of course, what we'd be worried about if we're watching it from a market's point of view.